Rachel Holt from Nesson.com, joined by Meyer of FOX Sports. Welcome to our Fantasy Football Podcast. It's week 5 of the NFL season, and man, is it a big one. Of course, in New England, all eyes are on Tom Brady as he returns to the field following his Deflategate suspension. It's also a bye week for 4 different teams, the Jaguars, Chiefs, Saints, and Seahawks. So on top of injuries, it means it's time to hit the waiver wire. We've got all that good stuff. But first, let's start with the Patriots. And Adam, the Patriots are 3-1. They take on the Browns this week as Brady takes the field for the first time all season. Is it safe to say anyone who plays offensive players on the pass this week should be rejoicing?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I just had 16-0 loss last week with Brissett filling in as a third-string option. You know that while they did lose, if you would tell Belichick and Brady that they're going to be 3-1 with Brady missing the first 4 games, well, I'm sure Belichick wouldn't smile because he doesn't do that anyway. He'd be happy about it. So 3-1, they got the Browns. This is going to be a massacre. I know it's in Cleveland, but I'm pretty sure that people in Cleveland are more looking forward to the matchup against the Red Sox in the ALDS than they are against the Patriots for sure. They have a little more faith in Corey Kluber than they do Cody Kessler. But I think that if you look, Patriots 10-point favorites, which they should easily be able to hit. I see Brady throwing for 4 touchdowns and probably racking up around 400 yards of offense. Or because Belichick hates fantasy football people, LeGarrette Blount's going to have 300 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns just to make everyone mad. But no, I think Brady's rejuvenated. He's ready. You've seen what Brady's like when he's angry. He's fired up. He gets that enthusiasm, and I think that he's really ready to hang 40 or 50 points on Cleveland this week for sure. But one thing I really want to look at is this is the offense we're trying to figure out. What's New England going to do with the weapons that they have? Obviously, without Deion Lewis, they're going to rely on James White, who had one of his best games of the year last week against the Bills. You can have Martellus Bennett there with Gronk. Granted, Gronk had a rough couple of weeks, even though they say he's back. I'm interested to see what he's like now with Brady into the mix. Do they still work Martellus Bennett in? I know you're going to see a lot of double tight end sets with both of them being great weapons catching the ball. So I think that if Gronk is still banged up and you have Brady, I say why risk rushing Gronk back? I know that you like to use him as a decoy, but at this point with Brady there, you basically can say, okay, we have Martellus Bennett, let's just use that. So if Gronk is still banged up, I think Bennett still has another huge game with Brady there. Obviously, receivers, Edelman and Amendola gonna have their receptions and targets. I also want to see what Chris Hogan does. I mean, we saw him, trying to work well with Garoppolo and Brissett, not getting into the mix as much because when they're trying to kill the clock and give the ball to Blunt more. But I think this could be Hogan's chance of proving himself. You haven't really seen a number 3 wide receiver thrive in that New England offense, so maybe this is someone's chance. And if it is, I think Hogan has a pretty good chance. So if Hogan's available, I think this is the guy, this is the week you want to get him before he gets hot.
Right. We never really know who they're going to go to any given week, but it's safe to say that anyone who's starting the likes of Edelman, like you said, Bennett, they're all excited this week because nothing bad will happen with Brady at the helm. In that game, is there anything else that we should keep our eye on?
Maybe a little bit of the pass catching game from the running backs. I mean, are they still going to incorporate White? I mean, you saw when Deion Lewis was there, he was a PPR machine before he got injured last year, and then obviously this season he's dealing with an injury where he's going to miss the first 10 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever it is, for the IR. So I think that if they go back to James White and they get him into the pass catching game out of the backfield, I think that he's going to be another big weapon for New England. So that's one thing I really want to look at is how they utilize Bennett and how they utilize James White.
Okay, you already predicted that this game was going to be a massacre, and a lot of people are thinking that. So is it safe to say that this is a survivor pool pick of the week, or do we want to save New England for a later date when we're kind of down the line and things are getting a little tighter?
I think I'm going to pull the trigger on New England this week and go with it. You want those almost guaranteed locks in your survivor pool, so you don't have to worry about sweating out against a close game. I'm looking at New England's schedule. You got the Bengals in Week 6, which Bengals have been a pretty decent team as of late. You got the Steelers after that. Then you're in Buffalo, a team that just won 16-0, which, granted, I'm sure that'd be a really good spot to use New England because Belichick won't lose twice to the same team, especially a Rex Ryan coach team. But after that, they're on a bye. Week 10, they got Seattle. So if you don't want to use New England until Week 11 against San Fran, then maybe, I would say wait on it. But me, I don't want to be that guy that gets knocked out because I saved New England for a time when I could have used them immediately. And sure, I think New England's going to be maybe an 80 to 90% owned team in a survivor pool. I think I'm fine with just taking New England, taking the win, and living another week.
Well, I'll serve as a cautionary tale because I picked the Cardinals in Week 4 to win, and obviously that didn't work out too well for me. So I agree with you. Just pick the safe bet, go with New England, make sure you're surviving to Week 6 instead of getting a little cocky and making some cute picks. So I agree with you there, Adam. In terms of running backs that we can target on the waiver wire, we mentioned that it's a bye week. We mentioned that it's getting a little tough with some of the injuries in previous weeks. Who can we look at to pick up?
Running back-wise, there wasn't a lot available. I know people were really excited last week with all the injuries. But this week, not much. I mean, I know that Terrence West had a really good game against the Raiders, and I know that they just cut Justin Forsett again today. But I think that the bulk of the carries will eventually start going to Kenneth Dixon in Baltimore. I know that that's probably one of the reasons why they cut Forsett, because they knew they had Dixon coming back this week. He actually practiced on Friday last week, and he probably could have been good to go if need be, but they wanted to rest him one more week to get ready. And he's a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield too. So if you're in a PPR league and Dixon is still available, I'd get him right now as your waiver wire pick. And he's a great option. I already mentioned James White, a guy that should be available in a lot of leagues. He had 11.2 points in the PPR league last week against the Bills. I think, again, if they use him a lot in this Patriot offense, he's a guy you're going to want. Maybe you want to add someone like Wendell Smallwood. I know that Eagles had a bye week last week, and Ryan Matthews has been kind of phased out a little bit in that Eagles offense. They used Wendell Smallwood a lot in Week 3 against the Steelers. He had 17 carries for 79 yards and a touchdown. Kenyon Barner found the end zone. I know that Ryan Matthews was dealing with an ankle injury, so if he's still dealing with that injury, Wendell Smallwood is one of the guys I would want to attack in the waiver wire. But other than that, not a lot of good options from the running backs. But quarterback-wise, there are a couple. Like you said, on bye week, this is a rough bye week for some people. You're going to have, Drew Brees is on a bye. Russell Wilson's on a bye. You may have Cam Newton hurt on Monday night and not play. Blake Bortles is on a bye. So for people that are trying to look for someone to kind of fill that void for them, there are some really good options. One is a guy who was just on a bye week last week in Carson Wentz. Dude's been phenomenal for Philly. He scored at least 26 points fantasy-wise in 2 of his first 3 games. He has a Detroit offense that is not, our defense has been allowing the second most points to fantasy quarterbacks. If you look at last week, obviously Brian Hoyer, Cleveland native, had a pretty good game against them. 302 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Week before that, Aaron Rodgers torched him for 4 touchdowns. So this line secondary is not great. I think Carson Wentz has a really good game for him. And then another one that's available, a guy's facing the Falcons this week, and that's for Atlanta. Denver faces Atlanta. So with Trevor Siemian there, I know he's banged up with a shoulder injury, but if he's in, he obviously had a tremendous week 2 weeks ago. I know he got hurt last week against Tampa Bay, so that's going to affect him a little bit. But 2 weeks ago against the Bengals, he was phenomenal. 4 touchdowns, 312 passing yards. Even if Paxton Lynch is there, I think he could be an option for people that are really desperate for a quarterback. You look and Breeze and Derek Carr and Jameis Winston all had pretty good days against the Falcons secondary. So those are a couple guys that are available free agent-wise that I would probably target for the quarterback spot.
Okay, those are some good names. We'll look out for those. And for the people that play the daily fantasy sites, those like DraftKings, that kind of thing, who are you building your team around, and who are some big bargains this week?
I just posted this on Tuesday. So one guy I really want, I think Tom Brady's the guy I'm going to have in a lot of my DFS lineups. Like I said, I'm expecting a huge game from him. I'm thinking 4 touchdowns, maybe around 400 yards of offense from him. If you look, the Browns allowed 3 touchdown passes in back-to-back games, and that was to Tannehill and Kirk Cousins. So I'm pretty sure Brady can hit the 3-touchdown mark. As for the yardage, I think Brady, again, motivated for having that first month off. I think he comes out there as a tremendous game. Even if Gronk isn't at 100%, he has Edelman, he has Amendola, he has Martellus Bennett now, a new weapon he can use for at the tight end spot. I think Brady is a huge game. I really like him. On the opposite side of the field, Isaiah Crowell has been surprisingly good in daily fantasy leagues. If you look, he's scored at least 24 DraftKings points in 2 of the past 3 games. Hugh Jackson already said he wants to make a cognizant effort of getting Crowell the ball. So even though they've been struggling and they haven't won yet, Crowell has gotten out there, he's gotten his carries, and even last week, he's caught the ball in the backfield. They say that Duke Johnson's kind of the pass-catching back for Cleveland, but Crowell had 4 targets last week against Washington. So I think that Crowell's a guy that he scored in 3 of the last 4 games. And so if they get close to the end zone against New England, Crowell's going to be the guy that breaks the plane. So I think that Crowell's a guy that's going to save you a lot of money, too. I like getting starting running backs under $5K, and he's listed at $4,800. One other guy I really want, again, it's not a sexy selection, but Robert Woods for Buffalo. Now that Sammy Watkins is out, Woods is the number 1 receiver for the Bills. And at $3,900, that's not a bad price for a number 1 receiver. If you look, he's facing the Rams, and Los Angeles has allowed 3 different receivers to hit the 100-yard mark in the past 2 games. Now it's Mike Evans, Adam Humphries, and John Brown. So with Woods, he had 10 targets last week against the Patriots, caught 7 passes for 89 yards. I think he has another good game this week against Los Angeles. I want Robert Woods in all of my lineups. And at $3,900, it saves you a bunch of money and allows you to spend big on guys like A.J. Green or other targets. Maybe you want to spend big on Gronk, being that he's not going to be as price heavily as he has been in games past. So those are a couple of guys I want to build my lineup around this week.
Okay, this is all great stuff, Adam. The last and most important question I have for you is, where can we find more from you?
You go to foxsports.com/fantasy. You'll see all of our content there. Tomorrow or on Wednesday, we're going to have our updated rankings for Week 5. My start sits posted on there as well. Also, always going to be on Twitter at Fox Sports Meyer, Meyer. I'll answer all your questions leading up to kickoff, and hopefully I get you guys that win and get you back to the winning column for fantasy football this week.
All right. Thank you so much. And, yes, a tough week for fantasy, so we will see how things shake out heading into this week, but hope this helped everyone, and good luck.